So because it's called Car Car Goes to Hell, we want it to sound very ominous.
This is Kiana from Synchrosoft and her dog in the background.
Hi.
You're currently the lead composer at Synchrosoft.
Yes, I am.
So I kind of want to go over really quick if you want to describe in a little more detail what you do at Synchrosoft and the secret game that we're working on.
Oh yeah, sure. So as a lead composer at Synchrosoft, what I do is I manage a team of other audio-centered individuals, sound designers, other composers, and we work together on the soundtrack and the sound effects for our game. Another thing that I do is I actually compose the music, and right now I've been working on the big title theme for our game. So I mentioned the title theme before. That's currently my big thing. I'm working on this with one of our other composers, Ian. So I've been chugging away at this project file here. He's been recording some of the tracks, like bass tracks that I need, so then I can input them into the project file that I have right here.
It's a lot of different pieces in your mind, obviously before any of this is recorded. How do you piece this together in your mind to make it a cohesive thing, since it's all different instruments from different recordings?
I think what helps first is getting a reference track to sort of feel out what kind of vibe we're trying to go for. I think before development even began for this game, Brian actually reached out to me and he gave me a whole playlist of different songs that he was kind of imagining for the vibe of the game. And so I was listening through a couple of those. We got some tracks from Euphoria, got some city pop tracks, etc. So I was feeling out the vibe there. And if you have the YouTube trailer for Car Car Up, the music from there was written by one of our other fellow composers, Joel, who created the entire trailer music. And I remember our meeting for that. We wanted to have the trailer music sound very epic, very grand, encapsulating that cathedral vibe while also bringing in elements from the other two games in the series.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to really emphasize the cathedral aspect by incorporating very grand instruments, very church-like instruments. We have the organ here, and we got some strings, some other orchestral instruments to sort of fill in the empty space a bit. I wanted it to sound cohesive with the trailer music, I think, is the biggest thing.
I remember Brian, well, just for reference, Brian is kind of the leader of our Synchrosoft team. I remember him saying that he was getting chills at the end, at the climax of the music. I think everyone's a big fan of it. I also think it's so cool that we have an actual composing team for the music. It's not just digital, which no problem with digital music, but that we have an actual composer or multiple composers to create just this insane orchestral.
I really appreciate my team. They're goats. My goodness. Yeah. Funny thing is, most of us all went to school together, either college or middle school, high school. It's just a stroke of luck that we all happen to be under the same roof now.
On the topic of college, just for people who haven't gotten into this type of stuff yet and who haven't joined a team or led a team yet, what would be kind of your recommendation for people trying to get into a team where they're making orchestras?
Or orchestral music?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not in a program for music, I don't think you necessarily have to be in a program or a field of music in college to get into this kind of thing. I know that if you just like to fiddle around on Ableton, FL, Logic Pro, right? If you have a knack for doing that, a passion for doing that, the one way that I would say is easily the most and least accessible kind of route is reaching out to other people and forming either a little coalition or, going to events like MDev, which is the Midwest's biggest conference for gaming. Going there And then making connections there to label yourself as like an audio person, somebody that either designs sound effects or somebody that composes music, and market yourself like that. I think the biggest thing is working on that grind and then just finding other creative minded individuals that have a similar knack for making music as you, and a similar love of making video games or film, whatever orchestral stuff you want to make for.
What do you think the kind of pitch does look like? If you were to go to MDev right now and go up to the booths, what would kind of be the pitch? What you throw out about yourself, what you kind of throw out as, hey, I'm open to opportunities?
Well, when I was there, I told other devs that, like, yeah, I compose for games. I have a game that I have composed for already, or I have a portfolio of music. I have a website, a YouTube, or a Spotify, just directing people to the platforms that I actually have my music onto. And I would say, like, if you ever need anybody, I'd love to work with you, or like, hey, let's chat sometime. It doesn't have to be a whole song and dance like job pitch, right? Just like a casual thing saying like, hey, like, you're interesting as a person and I would love to get to know you more. Really, that's all it takes. I know that when Brian came up to the booth that I was tabling for, it was literally just like that. Like, cool game. Could I have your Discord or whatnot? And you know, the conversation kind of took off from there. And Brian looked at my Spotify and heard my music and was interested in knowing what I could do for the team.
I agree with the part where you're kind of saying, like, don't make it like a sales pitch. It's kind of just, it's getting to know people like as a human being, which it sounds obvious to say that, but when you're in a high stress environment or you're specifically looking for a job, it's kind of hard not to like jump straight into the sales pitch. But usually that's not what people are looking for, at least in my experience. And it kind of sounds like, at least from what I'm reading, like that's kind of been your experience as well. You just try to get to know people, and then opportunities kind of reveal themselves over time.
Definitely. And you know, the funny part about that is that that's how I met every single one of my composers that I know now, in a way. Like, I'll take Joel, for example. Joel and I, we went to college together. We happened to be in the same music field that we were studying in, but we never knew that until we happened to be in the same Asian American Education Studies class, and we were in the same group. This was during COVID season too, so we couldn't even see each other face to face. He happened to see my name in one of our music theory classes, and I kind of recognized him too. I'm like, wait, aren't you studying music? He said like, no way. And we got each other's numbers, and he started sending memes to me. Like, it wasn't even about music, it was about freaking memes. And so I feel like building a genuine connection with people really helps the creative energy take off, and then also it kind of helps bolster your professional relationship as well.
With Brian too, in my case, like originally I didn't meet Brian through literally anything related to video games or social media or anything. It was more just, I met Brian through Ian, and I met Ian because we just make good conversation, I guess. So like none of what I'm doing right now either originally had anything to do with building a video game. It was just because me and Ian got along and me and Brian got along. And I think a lot of people, when they hear like you have to know people to get into an industry or something, it's very true. But I think people get frustrated because they think that that means you already have to know people, or you have to be like born into knowing like a group of people. But that's really not the case. It's something that you can build up over time just by talking to people and getting involved in things.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's like, I do understand that frustration as like somebody who's trying to step forward in the music industry too. You know, like you hear all of these things about like the industry being gatekeepy and everything. So like I understand that sentiment. I think that the hardest and the easiest part, though, is really just putting yourself out there. It's like really just like saying, fuck it. Oh, shoot.
No, that's fine.
Am I not
No.
Okay.
You say what?
Is saying like, you know what, whatever. I'm just gonna like freaking do my thing. I'll freaking perform. I'll just post this onto YouTube. I don't care. Like the worst thing that people can, say is, whatever they're gonna say in the comments. But like, I don't care. I'm putting myself out there. That's the easiest and hardest thing that you can do. And that helps you make connections with other people, and interacting with other people that you see on a day-to-day basis can help you learn things about those people that may help you in the future. It really just does take one, though, right? For like one random thing for things to take off from there. And I think that it takes a lot of courage, like whether it's making a LinkedIn post, whether it's like posting something onto YouTube or Spotify, making that first jump is always the hardest part, but I think it's also the most rewarding.
It's kind of a numbers game as well. You're not going to necessarily jump into the biggest, best band or biggest, best team or biggest, best anything on your first run. And it might not even be exactly what you're looking for, but there might be a person in the team that you join where like you don't like the team, but you like that person. And it's better than just trying to wait for the perfect thing.
If we keep searching for perfection, right, we're never going to find a result that we're really happy with. I think that's like with a lot of things in life, but I think it's especially true for something that has to do with like showing your creative work out into the world or posting anything, your thoughts out into the world. If we keep looking for that perfect phrase, if we keep looking for that perfect song to show your audience, you're never going to be able to show anybody because you'll just be too in your head about it and you won't be able to make any of those connections. One of the biggest hurdles is getting over the need for perfection and just doing it.
What do you think your largest pet peeve, if you could pick one, would be about music design?
Oh my goodness. Okay, biggest pet peeve. Ugh. One of them would be, so this is on me, okay? As lead composer, okay, you'd think I would know better. This is a pet peeve about myself, is that when I open a project file, I don't immediately switch to 48K hertz to record. So it does not default to that on my Logic. I think it's more of a me thing. You can make templates on Logic to make this process easier, so then you don't have to like manually go in and like change the recording every single time. But I don't do that. So I'll be over here like trying to record like vocals or something. By the time I realize that I haven't been recording in the right settings, I already have like a couple tracks out onto this session and I'll be like, oh, these sound so good. I'm like, oh shit, it's not in the right recording setting. And that happens a lot when Joel and I will collab together. He'll be like, oh, don't forget to record in this. And I'm like, okay, I won't forget. And then I'll open up my Logic session. And you know what happens? Yeah, I record like 3 good takes on the wrong recording setting. I'm like, oh god, this is awful.
And then do you have to get rid of all those afterwards too, just because it bothers you?
Well, yeah. And they'll have to re-record because like that's gonna bug me. Ugh, my goodness. So Joel, if you're hearing this, like, sorry. Another pet peeve of mine. I am not a strings instrumentalist. I do my strings in MIDI, and so I'm gonna pull up a little bit here. So the thing about strings is that when you're recording the MIDI, the strings start a little bit delayed. I want this blip to start right here. But because the strings, at least for the digital instrument I'm using, because the strings sound delayed, I have to bring this green blip a little bit before the time that I actually want it to strike on, to play on.
Yeah.
So I have to do this with everything. Not all of them are even, but you know what? I think that makes it sound a little human. I love when everything comes together, though.
And now that we're on the project, I'm kind of curious if you wanted to talk more about what you have open right now, which is in Ableton, or what is the program?
Logic.
Logic, same thing. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That would irritate a lot of people. I said something.
You know what?
That's another pet peeve. But
Wait, no, you mentioned something actually valid though, because Ian uses he does not use Ableton. He uses FL Studio. And if you are a music creator that uses DAWs, you know that there are different DAWs out there, and if you're working with multiple people, asking them to work together with you while you guys are on different DAWs is extremely hard, because transferring audio files to each other, transferring the MIDI stems to each other, and making sure that everything is compatible with each other is difficult.
I kind of want to hear this piece now. So if you want, before we play it, if you want to kind of explain what the purpose of this piece is in relation to Car, and then kind of afterwards describe a little bit about why you made the choices you did in the music to kind of evoke a feeling.
This piece was written for the title screen of our Car game. So because it's called Car Goes to Hell, we want it to sound very ominous. Now, the specific title card that I'm thinking of that Ian and I were looking at was the still of Car kind of like spiraling, falling down into a fiery pit. It's glorious.
Yes.
My goodness. It inspired us like no other. So we wanted to really catch that vibe. And so this progression over here actually continues or repeats throughout the piece. And I think that this like slow descent where we go from a higher sound into like a lower sound as the progression continues kind of helps sell that idea that we are quite literally descending into a very forbidden place. I wonder what that could be.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, I like that the notes are literally descending, like you said. Everything is just playing into the idea that he has fallen into this pit that is sending him to hell, unfortunately.
Yeah. And so, like, we have instruments like that in there, right? To help sell that feeling. One thing that Brian did mention to me, though, was incorporating this, like, retro, sort of like digital 8-bit kind of instruments as well to call back to this video game sound. And so that's something that I didn't have in the first iteration of this piece, but I incorporated it in after. So let me play those for you now. And so you can kind of hear this part here. I'm not sure if you played the games Ace Attorney. So I was very inspired by the music in that game. I think that besides the Professor Layton soundtrack, that the Ace Attorney trilogy, they were like one of my favorite games to play just because of the music. One of my favorite soundtracks of all time. Just because of that blend of different genres of music with the incorporation of that video game 8-bit sound to it. So I wanted to do something similar with the little 8-bit instruments that I have and incorporate them with the rest of like our more traditional orchestral instruments, marry them together in a way that would sound kind of like cheesy but also epic at the same time. Like it's like you can really tell that the video game sound is in there. Like it kind of slaps.
Yeah, it's like it's leaning into itself. I know the word cheesy is a easy one to use, but I feel like it just fits so well that you can tell that it's like it's leaning into itself. Like it wants to be a little cheesy, but it makes it so much better because through this track at least, I can feel not just the passion for making music, but I can feel the passion for the story that this game is trying to tell. And so not a lot of tracks can do that. A lot of them just play it safe. So it's really cool that it blends together so well.
I think the last thing maybe that I'll mention about this piece will be the vocals. So here's the story for you. Ignore all of these tracks here, but they're all muted. So funny part here about the little car chants that I'm using here. So these were originally recorded for the trailer music in the recent trailer. And so I had this crazy idea to have a male choir for the trailer music, but not just like any random digital instrument of like oohs and ahs. I quite literally wanted like all of us from the music team and Brian to like be in on this. Like, let's actually record. We got mostly masculine voices here. Let's make it sound epic and let's just say car. I think that'd be cool, right? Like that would be so like funky. So I had Ian, Joel, Jonah, our SFX guy, and my partner Vinny. I had them all record themselves, and I also had Brian record himself too, so that's actually in here somewhere. And so that's everyone kind of like smushed into one choir sound. And this took actually quite a bit of editing to line everything up, and once it's all together it just sounds great, but like by themselves, I'm gonna pull up some of the
embarrass them.
Yeah, all right, so this is my partner's voice. I had him record in, I say my studio, but like it's just my room, right? So I had him record different takes of him saying car. So in order to get a very full sound for anything like choir related or background vocals or anything, you want to put in different iterations of your voice. So it can't just be a very nice full like car, you know, you can't just say that. You can say that for your first take, but maybe for your second take, you want to sound a little more nasally, or you want to sound a little bit more deeper. You want to reach the more deeper tones of your voice. So let's hear, let's hear this first one. So here's what the first one sounds like.
Car.
So enthusiastic. Love it. All right, now the second one here. Oh my goodness.
Car.
Oh my goodness.
That's crazy on its own. I did not expect that.
I had to lower the volume on this one because when it's together with the choir, it sticks out. I don't know.
Yeah.
It sticks out. So I was like, okay, I gotta like, lessen that a little bit. I love it. But like, more of like a touch, less of like a in your face thing, right? So a little more nasally here, a little more like cartoony. I love that sound. I thought it was great because it just fits. It just fits with this vibe. Here's the last one.
Car.
My goodness, he's got a very deep voice. And that's the thing about like a lot of the people who recorded here. Y'all have deep voices. It's like great. It's great for a choir sound. So that's what I've been kind of playing around with. And Ian recorded some different ahs in different pitches here to sort of fill in the empty gaps with the choir sound here. So I'm going to show some of Ian's voice because I think it deserves to be shown. So I'm going to play all of them all together here. Here's what that sounds like. Now on its own, it doesn't sound like much, right? But with the other instruments, it just fills out the rest of the sound for me in a way that sounds very complete. It's like that cherry on top that I needed. And it especially shines at the very end of the piece here, where we have the strings going like da 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 da. I did not sing that right in the right pitch, but got my point across. It just sounds pretty and almost like we're leaning into something, like there's tension. Where is this tension going? Before it loops around back to the beginning.
I don't know if you've ever played the Zelda games. For the people who know Ganon's castle and stuff, that's the type of thing I feel when I listen to this. It's this dark and gloomy place. But in that track as well, it's like it collides the digital instruments with the actual orchestra. So it's like very similar thing I'm feeling here. And in both of those tracks, it just works really well. This is the stuff that makes me excited to see what the final game is going to look like. It's just crazy that we have an entire orchestral team working on this. It's very cool. Very exciting to be a part of.
I and we are excited to be a part of this as well. I always loved the putt-putt games, and when Brian told me this was a parody of that, I was like, sign me up. Oh my goodness, please. Please. Yeah. That's my whole childhood right there. For automating, I'm basically like putting in different nodes and bending stuff around, like the volume, the panning, like left-right stuff, and to balance out the levels, make certain things, certain instruments pop out and bring certain ones down. So this stuff also takes a while. But it really helps tie the piece together, I feel like. Once you get the sound balance down, this is a work in progress, but once you get it down, it just makes the piece sound how I wanted it in my head. I think that's the hardest part, right? You have an idea in your head, but like translating it onto paper or translating it onto your computer is pretty hard because like you have a specific way that you want it down, but like getting it down is like, no, this isn't how I had it in my head. No, not this. Oh, maybe this, but it's something about it just doesn't sound quite right. So letting go of that for me has been the hardest part, and just like letting the music kind of vomit out of myself. Very visceral metaphor, but letting it kind of just do its thing and not have to, nitpick over every single thing that I have in my head it has been the hardest part, but also the most rewarding.
For people thinking if they want to get into some type of music school, that's kind of maybe what could help as well, is like it makes it easier to kind of, like you said, vomit it out onto what you're making, because you understand some of the different methods of creating things. It makes it a lot easier to get that first draft on the screen. Yes,
and like that calls back to our whole conversation earlier about like perfection and doing the jump, just putting it out there. But yeah, I loved working with other people on this though. Like genuinely, like that has been like my favorite part about doing this. The collaborative aspect of making music and really just working in a whole video game project with other people. It's so fun getting to hear other people's like ideas, or, in this case, hearing other people in my team yell at me, like, what are you doing? That to me has been fun. But also like hearing Brian's thoughts and your thoughts on everything and the different ideas that you guys have. That to me has been one of the most rewarding parts about doing this.
And you get to hear people do their best goblin impression as well.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, is there like a Clash of Clans goblin coming towards me? It leans into the theme so much. I think that people are going to be very excited to play this game. And so,
thank you.
Just to wrap it up, the game that we're referring to is Car Goes to Hell, the musical, coming out eventually, whenever it's ready. Make sure to follow Sychrosoft. This has been Kiana, our lead composer at Sychrosoft. Kiana, it was awesome to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
You guys can support me on Spotify. It's just my name, Kiana Kong, Kiana, and then Kong, like the famous gorilla. I was talking about the Nintendo Donkey Kong, not about that other gorilla. And you can support me or learn about what I'm doing on my Instagram. I have a YouTube too. I have Apple Music. You can find me on most platforms.
Well, I appreciate you being here, Kiana. This is awesome, and I'm very excited to see how all of this comes together.